Hey folks, given how close it is to Valentine's, I figured I'd do something different. Like reviewing an ecchi title for its gameplay.
Gameplay, you say? Right. And I just wear a French maid outfit to get in the mood for cleaning.
In any case, today we'll be covering Pixelteishoku in Studio Libra Heart's Lewdtroidvania, Midnight Castle SUCCubus DX. Let's see if this midnight encounter left me wanting and ready for more, or if this experience sucked harder than our titular antagonist. I'm your host Arlyeon.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood degenerate Batsfine.
Let's find out together. When a succubus plunges the countryside into chaos, a lone huntress rises up to the challenge. Yup, that's about it, given you're not really going to be encountering much in the way of dialogue, save for some very sparse lines from a few NPCs. I mean, there is a pretty neat mid-game twist that unveils itself, but even that's presented in a fairly story-like manner. This narrative minimalism also extends to the game's three endings, as you'll primarily notice some small tweaks to the very brief animated sequence, some different dialogue in the starting town, and a brief epilogue that reflects how things have panned out. Essentially, don't come into this expecting masterful storytelling, which meant it was up to the gameplay to keep me invested.
Liar!
Granted, I wasn't actually disappointed with Midnight Castle as far as Metroidvanias go. Overall, I found the controls to feel fairly smooth, enough so that I genuinely enjoyed the game's platforming segments, as well as whipping any and everything in non-kinky ways. That, or just playing armchair general to a small gang of adventurers. Because, yes, you can totally find a quartet of supporting characters to join you on your journey, who will actively wreck the shit out of your enemies while you're doing your thing. I found myself extremely fond of this system because of how diverse each character was in their function, and discovering that health upgrades gradually improve the number you can have active. Plus, I just really thrived off watching the swordswoman shank bosses for me. Speaking of which, I also appreciated those climatic battles, given they represented some of the more challenging moments in the game, both for the margin of error that they allowed and the neat patterns some of them wielded. Yet, while I was fond of the bulk of the bosses I battered, there were a few that felt bloated. Less a matter of complexity and more just an excess of health. It honestly made me feel a lot less guilty about abusing the game's sub-weapon system, because holy crap does the sub-weapon system become broken late game. And that's because you're not using MP or hearts to cast. Oh no, you're using money.
Screw the rules, I have money!
Yeah, once you've run out of equipment and abilities to buy, there's not a whole lot stopping you from walking up to a boss and doing your best Dio impression. Other than a sense of fair play and wanting to see patterns, and given they don't tend to have multiple phases, yeah, I think I can live with that. That's not the only stumbling block Midnight Castle hits either, given there's a bit of clunkiness involved in its exploration. Now, allow me to be specific, because when it comes to motivating players to explore the far reach of the map, there is a whole lot of hidden nooks and crannies rife with collectibles and much-needed gear and abilities. That said, as the span of the game increases, it becomes increasingly tedious, given that players aren't provided a convenient means of fast travel. Yes, there's a portal system, but I can't say it's the easiest thing to use, given you're not always able to trust the map as to where each portal leads, nor are you able to see the locations which are cached away in specific houses. So it definitely makes the whole idea of doubling back to areas with newfound abilities a bit trying. Honestly, I found it most rewarding to backtrack once I got access to the, alternate character. Where the Huntress's progression is based around buying whips and items, the succubus you wind up controlling strictly acquires movement-oriented abilities, and honestly, this winds up being pretty neat, especially since it becomes tremendously convenient to zip around the map with her. And yet, I did find some of the design choices in her abilities to be a bit questionable, since some of her acquisitions see very little use and are effectively overshadowed within minutes. Looking at you, high jump and glide. Still, she made the process of gathering the collectibles I'd missed a breeze, which proved to be immensely useful in preparing for my New Game Plus run. Not that I needed to prepare for New Game Plus. It doesn't actually make the game harder or add anything, just allows you to activate a whole bunch of modifiers using the crown collectibles you find as currency. That's it. Yeah. Now, visually speaking, I did enjoy the overall retro aesthetic of the game. The environments were nice enough to look at, and I was especially fond of the enemy design. Seriously, some of the bosses look pretty neat. As for the audio, I overall liked it. There's some pretty decent chiptune music that provides a solid accompaniment to your adventures, and a fair amount of it at that. And the sound effects, while simple, never got on my nerves.
Now that you've got excuses you can parrot once you're caught playing this, let's get down and dirty. The store page informs customers that the sex depicted in this game is non-consensual. This is true to some extent, but we'll get back to that. I'm going to focus on the differences between the versions, these being the boss designs, the loading screens, and of course, the sex scenes. There are also minor changes to the environment, like the statues, which, in Not Safe for Work, have nipples. I know, right? As a quick note, achievements are only available in Not Safe for Work mode, but there's no need to worry if you don't want to play dirty. All you have to do is start a game in Not Safe for Work mode and you'll unlock the achievements you earned in your vanilla playthrough. While their attacks are the same, the boss designs in Not Safe for Work are different. They're either gender swaps with increased sex appeal, or they're similar in design, but less clothes. While there's no unlockable art of these bosses, it was nice to see different sprites. The loading screens have variety in Not Safe for Work, at least compared to the 2 loading screen images you get in vanilla. There are at least 16 here. I'm curious as to why this one wasn't included in our non-load adventure. I guess the cleavage was just a little too much, or something. I'm also a bit sad to see that the loading screen images of the succubus hunter, and the succubus herself, aren't included in the gallery. Their artwork's adorable. For that matter, I would have loved to see the concept art there as well. Anyway, the loading screens in Not Safe for Work serve a purpose. If you're close to a village girl in need of rescuing, the screen will be replaced by the village girl's plowing accident. If you veer off course, you'll stop seeing the screen. This is handy when you need to backtrack. Once you've unlocked a room, you'll find a damsel under duress. Outside of fast loading screens and sprite animations, there isn't much lewdness going on. That is, until we see the debauchery resulting from the demise of our succubus hunter. Losing takes on a different meaning in Not Safe for Work. When your HP gets low, the hunter loses her clothing. If you're defeated, she's dragged into a pit to be used as a fleshlight for one or more demons. Or as I like to say, the incentive to die is some fantastic hentai. The scenes that you see upon being defeated are based on map completion and which character you're currently playing as. That being said, there are nearly 30 scenes that are only unlockable in New Game Plus. You can unlock them through gameplay, or you can do what I did and use a few crowns to unlock every scene. Don't judge me. Getting back to what I mentioned at the beginning, it is true that there are non-consensual scenes. That's definitely the case for the village girls. I thought this was the case for the succubus hunter as well until I viewed all of her scenes from the gallery in order. She starts out unwilling, or at least apprehensive, but it doesn't take long for her to start enjoying herself. Personally, I find the trope of the unwilling participant turned eager slut to be the antithesis of erotic, but I am aware that some people are into that, and I'm not here to kink shame. I will say, however, that I doubt she's carrying around enough Gatorade for recovery. And the succubus is, well, a succubus. She loves her some fuck and can't seem to get enough. It's nice to see some genuine enthusiasm from our titular antagonist. I'm pretty sure that succubi thrive on semen and not electrolytes, so the insatiable lust checks out. It's for these reasons I would argue that almost 1/3 of the gallery is consensual sex. At least that was the impression I got. While the sprite animations got repetitive, there was a lot of effort put into portraying different positions. They did a great job at keeping the characters' sprites faithful to their artwork. The artist seems to have a thing for spit roasting and doggy style, but they have skill for drawing every other position in delicious detail. And what would a hentai game be without tentacles? I'd say this kicks the shit out of Konami's pachinko machine for the title of erotic Castlevania. If you're into seeing women in submission with TNA aplenty, I recommend checking this mode out. Even without the graphic sexuality, this game stands on its own, and I plan on replaying the hell out of this.
And on my end, I found myself pleasantly surprised by what Midnight Castle Succubus had to offer, to the point that I'm looking forward to the next game the developers are working on. Whilst it wasn't a flawless experience, it was solid enough that I'm willing to replay it after my fucking cat overwrote my save file.
That's a lot of damage!
I love you, Fumble, but oh my god. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that underneath the thick thighs and the horny sighs, there's a really fun Metroidvania to navigate, which managed to evoke fond memories of early Castlevania titles. Overall, I'd say the game's a hit, though I wasn't quite as keen to replay the New Game Plus mode once I'd finally finished it.
Wait, what? What the fuck are you talking about? It's clearly a crit hit. The statues have titties. Need I say more? Best Valentine's Day gift ever. Check out Arlyeon on Twitch.tv/Arlyeon, and don't forget to check out the merch store!
Wait, merch?
Damn right, merch.
Anywho, thanks for tuning in, folks. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. If you have an interest in supporting my efforts to create new indie reviews, interviews, and gaming content, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know there's a new release. Plus, there's also our Discord, links in the description, so you can become a part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron, and I guess there's the Twitch. That said, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks.
Twitch.tv/Arlyeon.